Hi, Julia. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Arlene.
Hey there.
Arlene, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. You can't see me, but you can hear me. Good. Okay, perfect.
exactly. You don't want to be seen?
I am muting my face on recorded call. Zooms.
Our loss.
Wasn't
Felt
wasn't
all
this
great.
wasn't there something that said the town required the everybody to be visible in
Ken said
recorded
that
meetings?
Ken claimed that the open meetings law said that Alex said that he was wrong. I don't know. I'm not involved.
Yeah, no, I just saw something. I just wondered about it. Because I take your
Alex?
point.
Hi, Aaron. Hi, Bob.
Cat there instead.
Howdy.
At the last meeting of the Ulster County Environmental Commission, the Manager Green was not able to join by video, even though she's chairman of the commission, and she was not able to vote or make resolutions because she was not visible.
Really?
Well, it's the law. It's the open meetings law. You have to be visible if you're going to participate in the meeting.
You hear that, David?
And you have to be allowed to be recorded. Because if you're at a regular meeting, people can come in and videotape you and put you on YouTube. That's perfectly legal. And to avoid it is illegal. It's a violation of the open meetings law.
Alex, do you have a response to that?
Take my word for it.
What's that? I heard my name.
Yeah, Ken's going on about the open meetings law, and you were the one who said he was mistaken.
Oh, yes. Apparently, the open meeting law has changed due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Whoa!
So that anyone can join from a phone only, and they do not have to have the capacity to be on video or internet, because obviously that would
Watch this.
limit the group
Oh
of
boy,
people
here
who
we
can
go.
participate. But I sent an email with the, it had a link to the new
Right.
thing to it, if anyone feels like reading it.
Okay. Thank you. It's
I
7
like the
o'clock.
picture, though. It's
I'm
nice.
calling to order a regular meeting of the Woodstock Environmental Commission on Wednesday, November 18th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Guests attending this evening are Linda Leeds. Who else do we have? Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
Do we have, okay, Jane, thank you for joining us. Great.
Thank you for having me.
So Jamie will not be joining?
No, he said he
No.
couldn't make it.
Fine. Okay, we have Lauren Rose. Do we have Laura? Not yet, okay. And Ken Panza. So, okay, great. Does everyone have a copy of the draft agenda
Yes.
this evening? Are there any changes you'd like to propose, WEC members? Okay, may I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
A motion.
Great. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is adopted. Has everyone had a chance to review David's draft minutes for the November 4th meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Any changes needed at this point?
No.
All right. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
All motion.
Okay. Second?
A second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Correspondence, just one item, our budget statement, no change. Same as always. Does anyone have an announcement this evening you'd like to make? All right. Let's start with the 10 Church Road issues. So Aaron or Lauren, do you want to quickly bring us up to date if you would?
Well, take me about 2 minutes, tell you everything I know. The water has been tested to the satisfaction of every lab that was, or every engineer, every Paul Rubin, and everybody agreed that what they were testing for was the right stuff. So that was taken care of, I believe, last Thursday.
Sorry. I just hung up with Frank Amy and he said they just left. There was a couple of postponements.
Okay,
So
well,
they-
anyway, it has been taken care of. I've been in conversation with the town attorney. We've distributed the depositions, and some people are helping to write them out so they're in better legalese. And I've also been in course on the phone with Mr. Canigliaro twice, and he claims he's made us copies of all the invoices for everything that was delivered up there. So I turned that over to our town attorney, who's going to get with him and his attorney, and so it's all moving forward. I'm not generally optimistic, but I feel kind of good about this at this point. And again, I want to thank you all for all the help you gave us on this. So,
So Lauren, just to be really clear about this, what you're saying is that the engineers were all satisfied about the procedure that was followed in testing the water, but the results have not come back yet.
I thought it was going to be done. Frank told me it was going to be done last Thursday, but Aaron just said that there was delays and it was just done today. So no, there's no results back yet. But every Paul Rubin and our engineers and everybody agrees that what they're testing for is all the right stuff. So everybody's pretty happy with that at this point.
Thank you.
Okay,
So-
anything- sorry.
Other than that, I don't know if you got any questions, I'll try to answer them, but that's about as far as we go at this point.
I just want to add one question, which I think, Lauren, I've already asked you, but I just wanted everyone on the WEC to know. The resolution that we suggested or recommended and that the town board adopted, which kind of put everything in motion, there was talk about rewriting it. I think some of the stuff in it kind of doesn't apply now. So, and when I spoke to you, you said you and Bill are working on that.
We have not started yet. We're going to look at it and see. I mean, basically, we've accomplished most of what that resolution set out to accomplish. We did not get the soil tested, but we're going for removal in the, so then it would have to be tested as they remove it to see where they can take it to.
Yeah, my only concern was the resolution actually states water test, soil test, and the remedy is actually to like reinforce it. So I'm actually eager to your rewrite of the resolution. It also says that the WEC has to like monitor and follow up. And I don't know if that's something the town board wants. So there are just a few things in there. I'm just probably being a stickler about it, that if you guys want to keep in there, that's great. And one in particular is if the WEC needs to follow up still, which, you know me, I'm more than happy. And the other thing is the remedy in that resolution is not to remove, it's actually to like reinforce, stabilize.
My understanding is that we're going to rewrite the resolution and then we're going to bring it to a new vote on the board.
Okay, great.
So anyway, if that's all, I'm going to go back to my wood stove and watch Jeopardy.
He's
Thank
dead.
you.
Thank
And
you,
again,
Lauren.
He's dead, though.
and again, thank you all. Without you guys, this wouldn't have been set in motion. So I do truly appreciate it.
Well, Lauren, I would like to thank you because you made sure everybody knew what was going on. So I thank the WEC because the WEC has been fabulous in so many ways on so many things. But Lauren, for this particular issue, you clearly made sure everybody knew what was going on and got things moving. So.
Well, I don't go away well. And again, I just figured like, this is my little piece of woods up here. Nobody craps on it like that and walks away. So that's it. I'll talk to you all later and thanks again.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Lauren.
and thanks, Lauren, for
Lauren.
bringing this to our attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Boy, that was quick.
Okay, wonderful news. Great. So, Jane, with you here this evening, we'd like to move you right up so you don't need to wait. Do you want to give us an overview? You gave us a wonderful presentation last evening to the town board, and I don't know if you arranged with Ashley to share the screen and have a presentation, or if you just want to talk, that would be wonderful.
Sure. I didn't know if I should share a presentation tonight. It looks like I can, but if that's helpful, but I'm happy to just talk through it if that's any preferences.
Three of us have already seen the presentation, and maybe a couple of our guests have as well. So maybe we're okay. But how did for those who weren't at the town board meeting last night, how do you feel about that?
I read the information you provided, so I'm just ready to listen.
Okay. I am happy to just go through the basics again. I work for Solstice. We're a community solar organization, and we've been working with a few local towns and municipalities to run community solar solarize campaigns. Maybe I'll give a little background about Solstice, what community solar is, and what community solar is, but don't hesitate to interrupt if there's any questions as we go. So Solstice is a pretty young company. We were founded as a nonprofit 5 years ago with the objective to increase access to solar energy, specifically for low and moderate income households. We spun out as a for-profit and nonprofit, so now we have two entities that work together 2 years ago, and we've been working since in the Hudson Valley, filling up solar farms. Recently started working with towns specifically, but we've worked and partnered with a bunch of local nonprofits and other kinds of businesses and organizations in the area to make that happen. We've enrolled hundreds of customers in the area already. And just to give you an idea of how community solar works, if you're not familiar with it already, it's a subscription model to this big solar farm that we have going up. Each user, each household that enrolls gets allocated a certain share of solar panels. And every month, every household member who enrolls gets a credit on their central Hudson bill for the electricity that solar farm produced. So let's say the central Hudson bill is $100 worth of electric charges plus the $20 of the basic service fee, making it $120 total, but let's look at the $100 of electric charges. On an average month, your solar panels are going to produce about 90% of your total electric usage. So that would be a $90 credit on that $100 charge. So that would take your electric charges all the way down to $10. So you'd only pay Central Hudson those $10, and then plus the $20 basic service fee, which doesn't apply. And then you would get a bill from Solstice for the $90 credit that you received on your bill minus 10%. That's fixed against Central Hudson's rate, so it's guaranteed that households are saving. So you would be paying us $81 instead of the $90 to Central Hudson. So in total, you're paying $81 plus $10, so $91 instead of $100. So the average household saves about 9% on their electric charges every year. And the way that we run these education campaigns, essentially with municipalities and different nonprofits, is that we have a donation program. So if residents in Woodstock are interested in enrolling, we would have a $100 donation that would go towards whatever you would decide it to go towards. And the individual residents would also get a $100 Visa cash card. So there's no real downside except from having to deal with two bills, but we do auto pay. So aside from that, that's just the gist of it. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, Jane, my Central Hudson bill, when it comes in for $100, it's got the amount for the monthly charge, and then it's broken into two segments: the generation charge and the distribution charge. And they're more, call them 50-50. So I'm getting, $40 for generation of power and $40 for distribution of power. And my understanding of what you're doing is you're going to get a reduction on the generation of power charge, because that's what you're doing. You're generating power from solar arrays, but you're not distributing it. Central Hudson is, and that $40 portion or whatever it is unaffected. Is that correct?
Not exactly, because the only part of your Central Hudson bill that your solar credits, well, they can apply towards it technically, but that we don't allocate you to cover your basic service fee of $20, right? That's the amount that it is for households. It applies then to every other aspect of the bill. So the $20 that you pay Central Hudson every month is the basic service fee of what they have for what they charge you for having the lines in the ground, and then the distribution side and the generation side are covered by your solar credits.
So you're saying that the distribution charge, which has nothing to do with the production of energy, is also reduced by 9%.
Yes. So in your case, you sound like you have $40 of distribution, $40 of generation, and $20 of basic service fee. So totaling it up to 100. So minus the basic service fee at 80, it sounds like on an average month, we'd cover $72 worth on your electric bill.
And then you get charged 90% of that, so you wouldn't, you still get your savings would still be in there. So the thing that I did want to add, if David's okay, is I know that part of what your presentation was last night at the town board meeting was that, oh, pardon my cat. There she goes.
Could you introduce your cat, please, Laura?
Oh, that's Mariah. Mariah is 18. She went to the vet today. She's really not doing well, but the vet thinks that he gave her a cortisone shot, help her arthritis, and he thinks she's going to be okay. So, but at 18, I'm a little worried. But anyway, that's Mariah. So, but thank you for letting me introduce her. So at the town board meeting last night, you had talked about this could be a town of Woodstock initiative, where the town of Woodstock would be helping communicate out to the town, and just like you said, the $100 donation, when you get people, individuals, residences, whatever, to sign up, that could be a fundraiser in a way for the town, because if the town did do this communication effort and education effort, it could be a win-win. The budget has been really tight in these COVID times because the town did not get all the income we had budgeted for things like state income taxes or sales taxes, rather. The sales tax numbers have not been what were budgeted. So we've been very tight on budget. So something like this could actually be a win-win. I think part of the value of, Jane, you coming here to the WEC is, at the meeting last night, as I recall, Bill said he would love to hear how the WEC felt about the town going forward to do a town sponsoring of this education effort to get the word out to the residents of Woodstock, et cetera. Absolutely. So that's part of why you're here, I think, is to see whether the WEC supports a town-wide education effort that can be part of this.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for adding that. Sorry, that wasn't obvious in the way I presented it.
I have a question. So there's a lot of people who do this exact same thing, obviously. And some of them are even more local to here. So to me, when I think of community solar, I think of like a community, not someone from elsewhere coming in. So my question, I guess, and one of the things that I think it's really up to us in our capacity, I suppose, to decide is not necessarily like, do we want to support having the town get involved with community solar? But why should we pick you as opposed to anybody else who does the exact same thing that maybe is more local or gives back into the community more? I mean, it seems to me that you guys get more out of this than we do. just based on what you're saying if we sign on? Like, what makes you the one we should go with?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. So I think there's a few things to think about. Solstice does give a good amount back to local communities, nonprofits, and businesses. Last year, I think we donated $40,000 to local nonprofits. And so there is that aspect. That being said, for community solar, the way I'm familiar with the landscape right now, there's a lot of larger companies that are present in the Hudson Valley. Some of them are local, but they're usually pretty large companies, and I've seen great local community solar efforts that go where municipalities get involved and build their own solar farm that they then subscribe out to their residents. That happens, that's doable. It's just a lot more legwork and a lot more involvement from the local municipality or the community that decides to put this solar farm together, versus when you have a company come in with a solar farm that's ready, it's more of a built project, and so easier for you in that sense. I really don't see any negative aspects as to why you shouldn't, build your own solar farm and have it as a community effort for Woodstock where people can then subscribe there. I think that's a great option. And if you feel like that's a good option for Woodstock, by all means, I think that's great. We're just promoting renewable energy here. Local efforts like that, I think there have been a few in the area. I think New Paltz is considering it. I'm not sure that they've moved on anything yet. I think Saugerties has one possibly that's in the moves. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely worth looking into. It is, however, a lot more work and upfront investment than a subscription model like this, where people are just saving a flat 10%. There's no upfront costs and there's no cancellation fees. So the convenience of it, I think, is a little easier with models like this. But again,
Jane, I'm sorry. I think maybe I don't want you to keep answering not the question that I think I miscommunicated my question, and I apologize. I guess my question was more of this kind of model. Like, could you give us an explanation
Sure.
of, like, if we're picking through 3 different companies? I know you obviously approached the town first, but like, what would be a reason that we would say to the town, like, we think you should go with this?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay.
I'm sorry, I wasted all your
sorry
work.
that I misunderstood. Yeah, I think that I think our strength at Solstice is that we're a pretty small company. There's only 25 of us working here, and we are extremely customer centric. And so we build everything for our customers, and I think we're very personable. We're a small team, so we have to communicate a lot and multitask a lot. And so we're all working with the same customers and the same accounts, and that makes resolving issues a lot easier. That makes our, just customer facing aspect very personable, and people are able to reach out to us. They usually have our direct lines. They can reach us, they can ask us questions, we help them enroll. I think that's an advantage. As far as incentives go, I believe we're comparable, if not above, most of what other companies working in the area are offering. But I can't say anything bad about other companies in the area, because we've worked with a lot of them, and there are just a lot of good companies out there.
Yeah.
Well, so Jane, there's 2 things. I'm sorry, Laura. Do you want? May I go, or do you?
I just, if I could, real quick, one thing that I see that differentiates is because not only did Solstice come to the town board meeting, but Solstice laid out a plan of how the town could educate. Solstice said, we'll work with the town to educate. So I've seen other groups come in and say, hey, we've got some community solar. Maybe some of your people want some community solar. But this idea that Solstice can partner with the town of Woodstock to help do an education effort and get the word out. That's a piece I didn't hear other groups come forward with.
Yeah.
That would be direct mail. I think you were saying last night. And what
Yeah.
other kinds of initiatives could you offer us in terms of the education portion of it?
I think that what's been successful is doing small virtual events. I think big virtual events are overwhelming, but having a series of small virtual events where people can, you know, just sign up and have like a sort of Q&A and get some more information. Direct mail has been very impactful. And then just, you know, spreading the word in the community through through posts on social media that we can prepare.
I'll point out I get direct mail from a number of different companies, probably 2 or 3 times a month from for very, very similar offers, and they go straight in recycling.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's effective at all.
Jane.
Okay, so I mean, I understand.
I have some other questions that I think are more pertinent.
Yeah, and so do I, but I'll let David go first.
Okay, so there's the small picture and the big picture.
Okay.
The small picture is you sure as hell could do a lot more than just you know, a virtual, you know, events to talk to people. You could sweeten the pot. I've been in sales, as are you. You can do better on the price. You could say, well, we'll give Woodstock residents a 12% discount instead of a 10% discount, or we'll give 2% to the town to go into their general coffers, or we'll do something to sponsor this, 3 solar arrays in the town, 2 on the parking lots and 1 on the old landfill. Those are small picture things that you could do to make you stand out from all the other competitors, because everyone else is exactly the same. 10%, no cancellation fee, good until subscription is filled. But the big picture thing is more important. There's going to be a revolution in energy generation, storage, and distribution coming real soon, because we have a new president. We have one who isn't a national idiot, and so big picture. Is this just a distraction? My concern is that this is just a distraction from the big picture things of, let's look at, instead of taking a small amount of money and getting into community solar, why don't we look at that small amount of money that community solar gets and put it into another bigger pot that looks at the totality of energy generation, storage, and distribution in the state. Julia had a wonderful book that she loaned me about the frailties of the grid and how much we need to do. And I don't want to distract us from those things. So I have spoken. Thank you.
I have one more question, Jane. Sorry. We were I was reading a lot, just since your presentation, about some of the opt-out kind of models that other towns and places have used, where everyone goes in and then you can choose if you don't want to do it. And I was curious if you could let us know, with some of the other places you've worked with, like how many people actually got on board after you guys, worked together. Like, obviously, I think we are on the same page of, like, as a town and as your business, we want as many people as possible doing this. Has it been pretty, like, how many people are doing it in the places where you guys have come to them? Is it like a high percentage? Is it a low percentage?
That's a great question. So good information is that we've only worked with Gallatin so far up in Columbia County. We just started working with municipalities because we've been working with, which is something else that I should probably get to, NYSERDA on their Clean Energy Communities campaign. And so this is fairly new to us too, working with municipalities directly. In Gallatin, which is, I think, a town of about 4,000 people, a village actually. I think we had about 100 people sign up. I can double check that, which wasn't bad for that town of that size. And with the money, they're putting in like little solar panels in a local parking so that they can have lighting in the parking from solar power. And they were really excited about that. And most of our partnerships otherwise so far have been with larger nonprofits like the Arc of Rockland, like the Anderson Center for Autism, places like that around here. Did I not answer your question about the opt-out model?
I was just curious because I know some of the places that have done it have had like really high success rate. And so I was curious if, I mean, it does seem like a lot of legwork to get people like to the point of signing up. So I was just curious to see like what you were seeing in terms of numbers.
As far as I know, in New York, I don't think there is community solar as an opt-out program. Opt-out programs are usually CCAs, community choice aggregation. And so they're different than community solar. New Paltz has one, and a bunch of people with a CCA, you can still sign up for community solar. So we have a bunch of customers in Woodstock who also signed up for community solar on top of their CCA.
I think it was really new. The thing I was reading was from late September, and they were like just getting pilot programs going. But it just made me think of like what the numbers would be versus.
I'm sure it would be much better with opt-out programs, and I know that it's been in discussion to see if there's way to work legislation around that. But as of now, the community solar programs in New York are not opt-out, and probably a few pilot programs. I know it's being discussed, but I just don't think it's a possibility, unfortunately.
Last night, Jane,
I think some questions.
go ahead.
Yeah, I got another question. Perhaps I should have asked this question at the very, very start, basically, because I don't know very much about community solar and how it works. From what you described, I sign up with you for my house. I continue to get my electricity, exactly the same electricity from exactly the same company. And I get 10% off. Where's the environmental impact of doing that? I mean, why is that an environmental benefit? It sounds like a financial benefit, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But the first thing that strikes to my mind is, if I wanted to make an environmental impact myself, I ought to reduce my electricity consumption by 10% instead. So it has the same net effect financially, but I'm actually doing something to the environment by consuming less of a non-renewable resource. Whereas with your system, I'm having trouble how my subscribing actually does anything to solar power. So can you describe technically how it works?
Yeah, I mean, pretty practically, it's contributing to the strong increase of demand for solar energy in the state of New York. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of solar farms pop up around where you live over the past few years. I know that I saw a lot of them driving around. And this community solar model has it definitely has its faults. And I'm not I'm an environmentalist, and so I really understand where you're coming from. That being said, I think that it gives people the opportunity to support solar power if they don't have the opportunity to themselves put solar panels on their own homes.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing how subscribing with you helps solar power.
Well, there's quite a financial incentives for the people who own the solar farms. And if people weren't subscribing to the solar farms, they wouldn't be putting solar farms there.
Which one are you working with? I'm sorry, I've been asked, I need to ask this question. Last night you said you had been working with a solar farm in Kingston, but you said you switched recently and I didn't catch where it is.
In Westerlo.
I'm sorry?
In Westerlo.
Westerlo. Right. Does anyone know where that is?
It's near Albany, isn't it?
It's near Albany.
Oh, okay.
So does your company actually own the solar farm, or are you subcontracting solar energy from somewhere else and then I guess reselling it to Central Hudson?
No.
How does it work? Because you're not selling it to me. I'm getting my electricity from Central Hudson still. So I mean, who are you selling this to? And how does the money flow? Can you describe this a little bit, basically? Sure. I'm not understanding it at all.
Yeah. So the way it works, right? Obviously, the solar farm isn't directly plugged into your house, so you're not getting the electricity from the solar farm. It's all mixed together like big water pipes, right? So exactly the way it works, right? So on your Central Hudson bill, again, let's go with that same $100, right? So if you have $100
Well,
worth of electric,
let's forget the money, right? I want to know where how the power plugs in and the money in the back end. Does Central Hudson gives you money, I assume? Or how does it work? Do you give them money? I mean, they're getting less money from the consumer, and so I guess what you're doing is you're billing me, and then you give them back some of the money. I mean, or does it go to the solar provider? I mean, I don't know.
So the credits that you're seeing on your bill is Central Hudson taking it off your bill because they're considering that the energy that's a portion of the energy that's coming from the solar farm is quote unquote yours. Right. And so it's kind of like they're buying it back at that rate. For Central Hudson, they're not necessarily making money off of it, but for them, it's beneficial because all these solar farms have increased the resiliency of their grid. And it helps them increase the mix of different energies that they have there, which is good for them, helps them reach renewable energy goals and whatnot, right? And so increases the overall resiliency. And so when they give you that credit, we're not paying Central Hudson back for that. That's just the value of the electricity that the solar farm produced and got.
I see it. And my subscription buys me part of the solar farm. And so Central Hudson is giving me back money for power that my part of the solar farm that I subscribe to.
Right. And instead
so it's kind of like
Hudson for that, you're paying us.
Yeah, so it's like a timeshare on the solar farm.
I've never heard that comparison, but I guess so, yeah.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you very much. That answers my question.
Two questions. Thanks. One is actually for Jane and one is for Laura. Hopefully they'll be quick, and I apologize if they're stupid. Where are the actual solar panels? Like where's the solar farm? Where's the solar panels? Where are they located?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the actual solar farm we're filling now is in Westerlo. So further up north in the Catskills. And we just filled one that's in Kingston off Route 209. And
okay, sorry, when you say filled one, what do you mean filled?
Just filled up with customers.
Just
so it's all subscribed to.
Yeah, you're the marketing branch. Jane's like the marketing branch. You have an entrepreneur that builds all these solar panels, but who's going to buy the solar? Well, Jane's the marketing branch that helps sell the solar that this other company is making available.
Okay, so
all the apartments in the timeshare are sold.
So am I correct in understanding that you said you just filled one in Kingston, the one you do now is up in the Catskills? So as a Woodstock resident, I would be getting solar from north of here if I enrolled in the program.
Getting any solar.
Yeah, but yes, exactly. It's nice to know where the solar farm is, but as long as it feeds into the Central Hudson grid, it doesn't really make a difference from your perspective.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much. My other question was, Laura, you had mentioned that you felt good about the presentation that Solstice did to the town board. You said it was that other companies didn't come forward to the town board. How many solar companies have reached out to the town board with the presentation other than Solstice?
Well, I'm not sure, and Ken can correct me if I'm wrong because Ken knows a lot of this stuff. Yeah, but my point is, whenever I've heard anybody about solar, I haven't seen anybody come to the town and say, "Hey, town, we're going to help you communicate out to your residents." So the thing that I think differentiates Solstice is them offering to the town of Woodstock to help the town of Woodstock reach out to the residents about this solar opportunity. And I have to say, like Nick said, I get things in the mail too, or I get accosted on my way into the Hurley Hannaford, whatever. Oh, I got your solar, I got your solar. I think that people may be more likely to latch on and not toss it in the trash if they felt like it was, not that these other things aren't legitimate, but if the town of Woodstock has it as a program, you want to trust who you get your provider with. I don't always believe all the stuff that people say when they hand you a flyer. But
well, Laura, I think I miscommunicated my question. I apologize. Okay. So what I'm wondering is how many other companies like Solstice have presented to the town board?
Well, I know, and this isn't just like Solstice because it's hydro, but we went with Natural Power Group because Natural Power Group came and presented to the town board, and the town itself we have a lot of electric accounts with Central Hudson. And so for the ones where we can, and Ken is more of an expert on this than I am, but the ones where we can have them farmed out, so to speak, we've gone with Natural Power Group, but that's hydro, not solar. I don't recall other solar presentations to the town. We had solar presentations to the town back when the town considered putting our own solar farm up where the water treatment plant is. Back in the Jeremy days, we even had a contract with somebody because we were going to clear out a bunch of trees, and that's where I think is that Xena Road and 212 come together.
So would you say Solstice is the first solar presentation to the town board in the, let's say that past year or 2 years?
Community solar, yes, the community solar. We had people that wanted to put solar panels on our property, but that was years ago, and that kind of fell through.
Okay, okay, great. So, okay, thank you.
If I can, just for a minute, I'm sorry. I should have probably said this in the earlier conversation, but I was talking to the Clean Energy Communities Coordinator for Mid-Hudson, Carla Castillo, and I noticed that Woodstock had participated in the Clean Energy Communities program and run a solarized campaign, but I think for heat pumps or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what you ran, but and so there's a new round of funding that's going to be presented soon, normally with NYSERDA and the Clean Energy Communities program. I just want to throw it out there that you might want to pay attention to the program. I'm happy to connect you back towards them if you'd like, but you're only one action item away, I think, from being a clean energy community and then having potential access to grants from NYSERDA for
we
programs.
were pursuing that very actively. Then the program changed.
I'm sorry, Julia, I didn't mean to interrupt you, please.
Yeah, so we were pursuing that extremely aggressively, and then it changed, and we were told the program no longer existed in the way that it had, and it's no longer in line to get any grants of any sort. So we moved instead. We made our focus the Climate Smart Community Program. That's what happened this year.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. That's great to know. I'm sorry that happened with the Clean Energy Communities program. I've heard another town express similar frustration. That being said, I think that they're revamping it. So if you are still interested in it, then I think they have new rounds of funding that are coming up.
Yeah, well, we're about to get LED streetlights, so that would be our fourth high impact action.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was talking with them and they didn't really know where they left things off with you. So
So Jane, I noticed that you haven't characterized my questions as excellent questions, and I'm sort of hurt by that. But I also noticed that you haven't addressed either of them, either the big picture concerns or the small picture concerns. And the small picture concerns, I mean, so the question really is, why should the town of Woodstock lend its imprimatur to your commercial venture? What's in it for us?
I think that, I think that if you choose to run, whether it's with Solstice or another company, frankly, I'm not here to say that Solstice is better than anyone out there. I believe in what we do, but if you believe in the practice of a solarized campaign and helping your residents, access renewable energy, and you have that added benefit of the donations that go towards the town of Woodstock. I think you mentioned something about a 12% discount. There's unfortunately nothing that we can do about that, although we can talk about how we attribute donations, what programs we could do and things like that. That's maybe for discussion further down the line if you're interested in pursuing this, but I think that towns are playing a really pivotal role right now in helping educate their citizens as to what their renewable energy options are. And you can even run a campaign that compares different renewable energy options. Community solar doesn't have to be the only one. But it's difficult sometimes for residents to understand what is available to them and what is legit and what is not legit. So providing yourself as a resource, I think, can be beneficial in that sense. And then having the donations on the side is a good added bonus.
I'm sorry, could you tell me more about the donations that I missed that part?
Right. So when residents enroll, for each resident that enrolls, there's a $100 donation that goes to Woodstock. We can donate it wherever you'd like us to. And then you get a $100 enrollment bonus, one of those Visa cash cards. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, it certainly sweetens the pot. Which is
Okay. Sorry that if that wasn't clear before. I'm not sure how to answer your big picture concerns, though. I have a lot of big picture concerns, but we're all doing the best that we can.
Do any of our guests have questions that you'd like to pose to Jane, Linda, or Randolph, or?
I got an email from thank you. I got an email I get emails from Central Hudson. I think Nick said this twice a month about next AMP. And I even got a letter from the Land Conservancy or email from the Land Conservancy asking people to subscribe to next AMP. They're probably a mega company, I guess they are. I'm curious to know where you are and your 25 employees, but anyway, a mega company. But it seems like, we're encouraging Central Hudson to change their mix, right? By subscribing. Maybe it doesn't matter to whom, but it feels like, when you give X on the sun, there will be no more oil, looking for oil, and giving Central Hudson and their ally. It seems they're reliable. I'm sorry, I won't go into the large metaphorical nonsense.
That was a nice picture.
Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, this is more to other people maybe than to you, or maybe I shouldn't. What does everyone say about that? In terms of, I heard Laura mention last night, education. I get education envelopes from Central Hudson all the time. And sometimes I give them to a neighbor and say, have you gotten this? It's something you should seriously consider. Pass it on. I have 2 solar arrays that almost cover what I use, and I'm very stingy. It's usually very dark here in my house. Anyway, so next time. And
I have a question, and I apologize, I might have missed it. Linda, I really like what you have to say. Are you joining as a member of the public, or are you part of Solstice?
No, I'm a member of the public and a long history of connection to environmental issues.
Great. Oh, okay. Glad to have you.
I've gotten sidetracked in recent years.
Okay.
By other things,
okay, thanks.
Issues. Thank you.
Does anyone else
Yeah,
have a question?
I have one more question. Sorry. So, Jane, all of the benefits that you're telling us about, the donations, the partnerships with education, things like that, would we still get those if Woodstock decided that what they wanted to do was an education campaign where we provided people with the options and let them choose? Or is this like we are making a commitment of some sort?
No, if you decide to have this as a broader education campaign, you can even get other companies involved if you'd like to. We've had that happen. For example, we've worked with environmental nonprofits on general, education campaigns where we were just presented as an option. That works great too. So if you're interested in pursuing something like that, we'd work with you too. probably in a bit of a different manner, just in terms of what we could, you know, provide, but the benefits to you would be the same, like the donations and whatnot, that would all be the same. I'm just imagining that the campaign we'd put together would be much more coordinated with you and, you know, held by you, and we'd just be a part of that campaign rather than run the campaign.
Cool. So it's not all or nothing with you guys, because
No.
I mean, I'm just to see what our options are.
No.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for answering all of our questions. I know that we had a lot.
Jane, what's the time frame for that you were looking for a decision from us? I'm sure as soon as possible would be great, but had you discussed any time frame with the town at all?
No, we haven't really discussed a time frame. I feel like, I mean, whatever works for you. We're going to have capacity here for a while, where we have different solar farms being built. And so I'm not in a particular rush. So whenever, you know, of course, sooner is better, because sometimes it's difficult to get things done. And I know it's hard to come to decisions. I know that firsthand, but really I'm not on any kind of deadline. So whatever works for you is fine by me.
Okay.
So, am I understanding correctly? I'm sorry, Arlene, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how big is the farm that's getting built up by Albany?
I'm sorry, I didn't really hear that.
How large is the farm that is getting built up by Albany?
I think it supplies about 400 households.
Right, but
We
how
just started enrolling in it, so I can check the details for you.
Right, I just was curious about how much land is being used.
Ooh, I do have the details for that. If that's helpful, I can send them along.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Sure. I think it's built on an old pasture or something like that.
Usually is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just wondering, to kind of piggyback on Julia's question, to ask Laura, I know you said that that Solstice presented to the town board. Laura, do you know what the town is looking for as far as from the WEC, what they're looking for recommendation, like what kind of turnaround? Did they mention it? Or?
Sorry? I mentioned tonight, overnight.
No, it better not be. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think we gave a deadline. I mean, but I think whenever, I know I've been very clear with the town what a great job you guys did with Dan Scammer, because with Dan Scammer, you really investigated, it was well thought out, and it was just a great response. So there's a lot to be said for your process of how you make your decision on things. So it's just nice to have in the WEC look into this, give it thought backwards and forwards, kind of sleep on it. Maybe at the next meeting, people will have ideas. I don't know if you feel like you need to do more research than you've already done, because Jane's been here, but I think the town would just, you know, the WEC is an advisory board to the town, and the town appreciates the work the WEC does. So consider this, and do you think this is something, a lot of great points were brought up by everybody here tonight. So I think just consider it and give it some thought, and when you have an answer, you have an answer.
Laura, is this the only thing that the town is considering right now? I mean, are we pretty limited in what our options are, or could we ask for something else also? I mean, is this the only kind of solar option that the town is thinking about in terms of like people getting together and buying into something sort of like this?
Well, actually, so is David kind of running the lead on the solar? Maybe David would be a better person, or I'm sorry, trying to help.
Well, getting back to Alex, let me give Alex an answer. Sorry. And hopefully it helps. So when you look at, and Ken knows more about this than I do, so Ken can tell me if I'm wrong, but Ken had done a great piece of work to look at all the electric used by the town of Woodstock per se, right? There's the residents in the town of Woodstock, but then there's the town properties themselves. On the town properties themselves, there are a lot of Central Hudson accounts. Some of those accounts were able to we get that 10% benefit from hydro. I think it was a Natural Power Group. It's a hydroelectric, where there are some accounts where we could get this benefit. Some accounts, I think they're called dynamic, where Jane had said last night that we couldn't use, for those accounts, we couldn't use Solstice, nor could we use this hydroelectric. So as far as what the town uses for solar, the town what the town uses for energy, Central Hudson Electric, the town is already getting a discount benefit where it's possible to get it for certain accounts, but we're getting it from the hydroelectric. Years ago, back in the Jeremy days, the town was looking at doing our own solar farm. It was at the water treatment plant, and we even had some bids out. And this is before I was deputy supervisor at the time. I was not on the town board, but I heard about a lot of it and I saw a lot of it. And the town even reached out to a vendor who was going to get us solar, but then he dropped the ball on his end. He never proceeded. There was a signed contract between the town and this guy, and the guy never proceeded. And so the town dropped it. And the town would have actually paid more for electric had they gone with that, because that's how it was back 6 years ago. If you got your own solar panels, you pay more for electric. But we wanted to go green. That was our motivation. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna interrupt you before we go through the whole history of Woodstock. But I think, again, my question got misinterpreted. You're asking us to make a recommendation to the town board as the environmental commission about whether we think this is a good idea for the town to pursue. Is that in light of no other choice, or is that in light of any option is on the table? Like, what are our parameters here? Because if you're asking, is this a good company versus another company that does the same thing, that's one kind of recommendation. But if you're asking, is this a good company versus we build our own solar farm, that's a different kind of recommendation. So what is the town willing to accept as, how broad of an option are they willing to take here? Because you guys are asking us for the recommendation.
right. And the reason why, and I apologize for boring you with the history, but the reason why I did want to bring that up is because when the town does consider solar, we do know where we've been and we know what we think didn't work. And trying to build our own solar farm for our own purposes, it was not a happy choice in the past. So I wanted to give you that history, that building our own solar panels for our own use was not a happy choice in the past. Not to say it couldn't work in the future, but but in terms of, if you have, and that's part of the reason why it's a great idea for the WEC to consider this, is because you are thinking of different options. You are saying, hey, we could say, let's look at who besides Solstice can do this kind of thing, or maybe there would be another choice, or David's option that says, hey, let's even lease some of the town property, don't have the town put solar for the town's purposes, but lease the property somebody else doing solar, and we get rent money. There's different options for solar here. There's just different things, different ways the town can be part of the solar initiative. So I don't think the town is, one question is, do you like the Solstice proposal? And if so, we could go with it, but maybe you want to be looking at other options. I mean, you could look at as many options as you would like. I think at a minimum, we're saying, hey, do you like the Solstice? Yes, no. Do you like the Solstice proposal? Yes, no. But if you want to take it further, you guys have great experience and passion and ability. So if you want to take it further, I'd say whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, thank you. Just so we know what we're
But
deciding.
Alex, to answer your question directly, there are many, many options that are available simply in community solar, in community generation. The exact same thing that Solstice has. There are somewhere between 10 and 20 companies that are doing the exact same thing. We have never approached them. No, I don't want to say for sure that no one has ever approached us. They may have, but the town has not responded to those approaches. And we have never approached any of those other people. So is there a possibility that one of them would be willing to sweeten the pot more than Solstice, or provide us with a better deal, or erect a solar array on our town properties? We don't know. The answer is we don't know. We haven't explored it. I haven't sensed any willingness on the part of the town board to go forward with renting out our property to solar developers. If maybe I'm wrong, maybe Laura can quickly fill us in on that.
People are lukewarm about that. It is what it is. People are lukewarm on that idea. I'm sorry to say, I know you're passionate about it. Why
they're lukewarm on that idea, because it's just having someone else pay us money to do an environmental benefit. Why the town is not enthusiastic about it is beyond me, but it seems to be that way.
Let's get back to Alice's question, basically, because I would like the WEC to have the opportunity to look more broadly at what options there are available to us, perhaps past community solar and some other programs. Alex circulated an interesting email, which I haven't had a chance to digest fully just before the meeting, on some other options that we have. And so what I'd like to do is use this as a catalyst to have a little look at what programs there are out there, and perhaps get back to the town with an answer to the specific question about this particular company, and a more general recommendation about more broadly what we think is going to work. And so, I mean, what does everybody else think?
Cool.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm with Nick.
Great idea.
Listen, Jane, we don't want to take your whole evening up. You've been really wonderful. Thank you so much for spending time on a
thank you.
second night with Woodstock. You have provided us some wonderful materials, and you've answered a lot of questions, and we would like to keep in close touch with you, but we don't want to take more of your time now. So, and I apologize, and we're talking around a lot of things here, and you've been very patient with us. So we'll definitely be in touch with you, and we appreciate everything you're doing for us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. If there's anything that I can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to engage in discussions too. I've been in parts of many nonprofit debating groups. I know this is, a municipal advisory committee, so it's even different, but I appreciate all the questions, and thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'll add that I'm much more interested in community solar after your presentation than I was before. So you've actually done a good thing.
There's a win.
For me personally, at least.
As a win, because I thought you would be the really hard to convince one.
No, you can. Once you understand what the program is, buying timeshare in solar panels encourages more solar panel development, and that's good for the planet.
Now you know what you're doing, Jane. You didn't before, but now.
Nick, I guess you've just put yourself in charge of the outreach committee.
You see my hands raised? I have a work call I have to attend in 1 minute, basically, I'm afraid. So I've got to drop off of this. Is why I'm doing the meeting from my office today, basically. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss the rest of the meeting. But yeah, I guess I'll catch up in the minutes. So yep.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
And thank you, Jane, very much.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye all.
Okay, wow. So let's, I think we should probably all just do some more back and forth after the meeting, and some more discussion among ourselves, and then come back to our December 2nd meeting with some additional thoughts.
Absolutely.
And
Good.
Laura, thank you for, moving this along. And I'll talk to Bill tomorrow and just tell him we couldn't come to an overnight decision. I'm sure.
Well,
he'll
and rightfully so. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are doing due diligence, and it's perfect. You're doing the right thing.
Okay, good. All right, we're moving now on to Dan Scammer. And Laura, thank you so much. You did a superb job last night of just smoothly passing that through. It was unanimous, and yay. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And team effort, definitely team effort. And you guys, again, you guys are fabulous. And if you were at the meeting, you heard me say what a great job the WEC did, because really you did the right investigations. You came up with a well thought out response and a very well written resolution. And really thanks to the WEC for all of your wonderful work on it. It was definitely a team effort.
Well, you were very gracious last night in praising us. So that was very nice of you. Thank you. So since we're a little late, let's move right on to the natural resources inventory. We had a meeting on November 12th. The next things happening are that Arlene and I today received the copy editing copy, although I was kind of dismayed to see that there's also a red line copy still floating out there.
No,
I think we're just going to say no more to that.
Ignore the red line. She said, just use the second one, she said.
But, and if I do not actually want to hear from anyone with any more changes.
No, Beth Reicheld gave her comments last night and this morning. That's
Okay,
what it's about.
so have those been incorporated? Because I'm not going to copy edit something that then changes. That's crazy.
She's done.
Okay, great. Okay. So today we got also a draft of a cover that we can share with others. I think a couple of us have seen it and I think we're kind of happy with it, right?
I liked it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it looks great. And I think I just want to say kudos to everyone who's been helping out on it. It really is a great body of work.
Okay, so I'll circulate to the whole group after this meeting.
Julie, what did you receive today?
A cover that a designer has worked on for us for the Natural Resources Inventory Report.
And
Okay.
but not the report.
No. Well, the report is almost finished too. We're copy editing it now.
The fun part.
Yeah.
So the front cover, it's going to have a fancy front cover is what you're saying.
Yes.
It's a nice
Turns
front
out it
cover.
has a back cover too.
Kind of explains what the report should be, you know?
Yeah.
As
I
far as
think she did a great job. So we hope everyone else will agree with that too. Let's see.
Hey, Julia, I'm sorry. Do you mind going back for 1 sec? Because we just moved so quickly. I just wanted to talk about last night for one. I just had a question. I know that part of what we've been trying to do is to like position the town of Woodstock as sort of an environmental leader in the region. Do we want to, I don't know how we would do it, but share this in some way besides just for the 8 of us, that this is something in the big picture, I feel like until I joined this group, I didn't know anything that Woodstock did. I didn't even know that we chose like renewable energy for the town because it's never like communicated effectively, I guess. But is this something that we want to share at all? Like in the, I don't know, how, on the town, but I don't know how we share things here, but like, do we want to say like we joined all these other towns and we did this?
Well, I think that the press was there last night, so it's a given that will be picked up, I would imagine, by the Daily Freeman and by Hudson Valley One.
And what's the this to which you refer, Alex? What this are you referring to?
Well, we just talking about the dance scammer resolution. I mean,
okay, all right.
part obviously it's important to do for certain reasons, but if we're trying to do it as like a town who believes in XYZ, I'm just saying, do we want to start communicating these things better to the rest of the town?
Volunteer to put something together and put it on our Facebook page, as well as ask Ashley to put it on the town page. I think that's helpful.
You know, there's a lot of new people that have moved into town in the last couple of months. And maybe it's time that Hudson Valley One, we might put a little blurb in saying that we have a Facebook page and that it's a good place to follow if you're into the environment.
What do you mean?
That's actually
Environmental Commission. We have a website. I mean, we have a Facebook page, but people that just are moving here, they don't know that. So
that touches on something I wanted to bring up a little bit later on, but I wanted to do like an outreach to, like you said, there's a lot of people who came up here and it stayed because of COVID, and they're trying to establish roots and stuff. And I actually wanted to touch on that. I agree that we need to put something out there.
Something that they can reach out to us or just see what we're doing and become part of the community, because there's no way other than to read something to say that we're here.
Or to be in the know. Yeah, exactly. Which I was actually going to volunteer, Julia, which I know you love it when people volunteer.
I do. But I mean, isn't that the brochure that unfortunately Nick had to drop off, damn it, for the 3rd time in a row here. So we need to discuss that brochure, because that's our opportunity to reach out to the community and say, here's what we're about, here's what we're doing, here's some good tips. And we just got to get that underway sooner than later. And that can go to the realtors, and then they pass it along to all of their new.
But I'm saying even past the realtors, just people that are already here, just to know that there's a site that they can go to.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived here for like 4 years, and I didn't know shit until I did this. And I mean, like, I'm in town, literally in the middle of town every single day, and like I had no idea about half of the things that happen. And
neither Laura showed me.
Like, there's cool stuff that happens here, like even some of the like really strict rules that we have that other towns don't have, that
You have a wetland.
people don't know about, and I think they would be excited if they knew that they were a part of a community that did that and then like want to do more, but they just don't know.
Yeah, maybe we can integrate it into, wait for it. Julia, what did I ask you to put on the agenda?
You don't remember? What was
In
it?
2021, coming in
Oh,
2021.
Earth Day, of course. Yeah.
Earth Day.
Yeah.
And there it is. I see it on the agenda.
So, I mean, I know last year it just fizzled, but maybe it's an opportunity again. I asked Julia to put it on the agenda because I think we have to start thinking about it. Alex, I know you really partnered, with me last year and we had a great Earth Day planned, but maybe we could do it again this year. And part of the focus could be really connecting with the community.
And so we could do it in so many different ways. We can do it with the brochure. We can do it with a Hudson Valley One little blurb, like maybe a few weeks in a row saying,
Are you talking about an ad that we would take out? Is that what you're saying?
maybe they'll let us put something in, a couple lines just saying environmental commission, but they won't do that.
The people who live here like write for the New Yorker. Why do we have to settle for a blurb in the Hudson Valley One? Let's go big, Arlene.
Oh, come on.
A full page. I want a full page in Hudson.
Go on page 6 of the New York Times. Oh wait, no, that's
the New Yorker. It's going to be more people coming here, and it's going to get crazy.
No, I'm not expecting to be in the New Yorker.
I don't want any more people.
We could probably have someone write something that's like comprehensive. It doesn't have to be a blurb. It could be the front cover of that thing is usually like a bird in like a bird nest because there's no news. Like, for sure.
I get the New Yorker every week.
I don't know, they had a big article about the basement bistro and it didn't change anything.
Woodstock's environmental maneuvers.
They'd probably write a good article, actually.
Well, that's actually a great idea. We should approach them to give us some coverage at some point. We should put something together and put a pitch piece together.
I'll volunteer to.
Jeffrey Tubin might be available.
Oh yeah, you're right, Jeffrey. Yeah.
Who's Jeffrey? I was gonna say I would circle around and start contacting.
No, you don't want to know about Jeffrey Tubin.
Oh, okay, I'm crossing his name off. I'm crossing his name off.
Not on Zoom.
Okay, so I can reach out to Nick Henderson. We all know him, but then I can also get a little bit bigger. I know some of the people locally. How about after this meeting, you guys reach out to me who know people, nudge, Julia, David, people in that editor world. And I know a few people and I'll get some stuff out there.
Well, Bill Kimball is the Freeman. We're always, town board is always covered by the Freeman as well as Hudson Valley One, and Bill Kimball is the Freeman. And if you'd like, I'll get you his phone number.
Yeah, actually I have his email. I don't have his phone number. If you give me his phone number, that'd be great. But then wait, aren't we gonna go a little bit bigger?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a New York Times contact, so you'll have to get that somebody else.
But you have to hang this on a story or something that's very timely. So one obvious time would be Earth Day, but maybe we can move it up from there.
But the climate smart community, though, I mean, that was a relatively recent thing. Is the climate smart community was fabulous. So the progress there. So I mean, that's something that's a recent accomplishment. Besides these other things that you've done, is you weighed on Dan Scammer and these other things that you weighed in on. So you weighed in on a lot of stuff.
Something that we're going to talk about in a few minutes is the annual report that we need to put together. Ken, you did a great job for the county for that, the CSC and what's happening there for your annual report, but we need to do ours. And so David, that's the secretary's job, right? Will you begin to put that together, please?
Sure, of course I will, but it's not my job, just so you know. I'll do it, of course.
Well, I was told as secretary that was my job. So.
Yeah, well, you fell for that. So,
I fell for it, right? Well, you're falling for it now, apparently, so that's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or does somebody else, Erin, do you want to put that together?
I would like to nominate David to do it.
Yeah, okay, me too. David, are you willing to do it? I mean, it's a matter of looking at your minutes and, just piling them up.
Sure, of course. I'll do it.
Basically what I did last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you could have it for our December 2nd meeting, I want us to all look at it, add on what needs to be added. We're going to submit it before the end of the year as per law, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, where are we? So the educational brochure, no discussion again. I mean, we have a number of things hanging on that. We had the plastics issues. We have, Alex was mentioning UCRA today. Then we had Mary McNamara, who came to me today saying, what could we do about composting? So there's a lot that we need to do with that brochure, and we have to get it going. So.
Well, Julia, would you agree that the brochure is a separate issue from the things that go into the brochure, which I guess we could discuss without, I mean, the physical brochure is just like an aggregation of like what we're doing and the information.
Sure. It's just that Nick was leading the effort, and
but I don't know. Are we going to talk about compost now? Is that?
No, we're not going to talk about, we can't, we just have, oh.
I do have to ask you, what did Mary want us to do with it?
She was suggesting that there be a some kind of workshop or online. I think she was suggesting a Zoom meeting between Woodstock and Saugerties.
Oh, remember Mary presented to us. I asked her to present about the composting because we wanted to do it as possibly an action for Climate Smart. So that's probably, it sounds like maybe she's really following up with that. So
perhaps so, yeah.
And that UCRA thing, which I'm not even 1000% sure what it entails, even though I supposedly have agreed to give a presentation for them, which you're all coming to. But I think one of the things they will give compost presentations.
Oh, sure.
They do them, and I'm sure they do them on Zoom now. I mean, they are so kind, and they would definitely do it. And that might be part of their bigger, I think they're just trying to bring education to the community. So we might be able to piggyback on some of that stuff that someone else is organizing.
I like that.
Do you know Mary, Alex? Or I'll put you in the loop.
Just from that Zoom call that we did.
Okay, all right.
I think.
Well, that might be a good segue to, sorry, Julia, I feel like I keep trying to segue this meeting and I apologize.
No, what do you want to talk about now?
So I wanted to put out there I wanted to have a year-end Climate Smart meeting. I know we haven't had any and we've kind of gone, a little quiet, a little dark. Part of that has to do with the uncertainty of the administration because that had to do with a lot of funding and a lot of the programs. I am hopeful now that programs are going to be opening up and funding. As you guys heard, I believe it was Jane say earlier, there is a lot of chatter about a lot of funding coming back to life. So I wanted to have a meeting on December 2nd for Climate Smart, which I know doesn't pertain to all of you, but to those of you that are on the call that can make it, I'd like to propose at 6 o'clock, 12/2, an end of year Climate Smart meeting where we touch on open items that are still open from our certification. There's about 1 or 2 of them. And then actually just talking about 2021 and what we can do to still, along with Climate Smart, again, there's a lot of that overlap like Earth Day and composting and stuff, and kind of move those things forward.
Wait a second, did we just lose David?
I don't see him.
Minutes? Keeping the minutes, that's great. Okay.
Well, he might be back.
Okay.
I just took the Climate Smart note, so
all right.
I can add that in.
Of course, when I start talking, we lose the scribe.
So Arlene, will you be our scribe until he comes back?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, thank you.
This.
Right.
Does he literally write down everything that people say in the meeting?
No, of course not.
No, that's what I did when I was secretary. And that was
what
silly.
I did too. Yeah.
I do that.
We're recording it. It doesn't even matter if he's here or not.
Okay, we're going to circle back to the SUMPUS application. We submitted our opinion. Our job there is done. We were thanked, and that's over with. Okay.
It's off.
Yeah. David was going to tell us about EV charging station receipts. He was surprised by to hear from a neighbor of his that you're now charged if you plug into the charging stations R2 in town, and that's true. For election day, or pre-election day, I was I plugged in at the Mescal Hornbook Center and I was charged, and the charge is $2 per hour. And yet the town, for some reason, can't be straightforward and say you're being charged for electricity. They have to say you're being charged for the parking space, which sounds bizarre because nothing else at that, you know, the Mescal Hornbook Beck Center is you don't charge for anything there. So there has to be some, yeah, Laura.
So what I would say about that, and that certainly came up at a town board meeting that was discussed by the town board members before we voted, and we did vote to charge, and part of it is to keep people out of the spot if they don't have an electric vehicle. So it is common apparently for towns. We wanted to kick off the charging, so we began with the free, with people being able to charge for free, and that kicked off having those charging stations there. There is a cost to the town as people do charge up. There is an electric cost, so it does defray some of that. But it's also to make sure that if you're in that spot, people don't just park there for 8 hours and go spend their day in Woodstock. They need to get out of the spot because somebody else has an electric vehicle that ought to be there. So
who gets the $2 an hour?
Well, there's a good question. It's very
It
likely
goes to the town.
Yeah,
Bill
that's
says
what
it goes to the town.
very
How is
likely,
it
yeah.
collected if you're parking there but not charging?
Back.
Well, but the point is you shouldn't be in one of those charging spots if you're not charging.
But if you are parked there charging, you're charging and paying $2 an hour?
Correct.
The motivation was because the electric usage skyrocketed. You know, at the restrooms, we were using like 200 kilowatts a month.
Right.
Kilowatt hours a month. It went up to 6,000
They
kilowatts.
had to defray that, right?
Right.
We busted out of into the demand meters. I mean, the expense was just erroneous, just horrendous. It wasn't so much at the Mescal Center as more at the
other place, sure.
Restrooms.
Yep.
Of course, then the COVID virus came and the charging dropped off quite radically too.
Right.
Yeah.
Starting
But
to
it,
come up.
yeah. So yes, I guess all the questions got answered, right? Were there more questions on that?
Well,
Oh,
I think
sorry, I missed a few minutes. I was off the.
Right.
Arlene-
So
Arlene was
was
making
taking
notes.
over for you, David.
I'm sorry.
I'll add a couple of things to your notes, David.
Julia,
No.
how did you pay for that?
Oh, you pay through it because you cannot plug in at all unless you have a charge point subscription. So it comes through charge point.
So no one's putting a credit
No.
card into
No,
something.
absolutely
So
not.
if someone were parking there but not charging, they wouldn't be paying anything.
Yeah, there's no way to get it. So that's kind of crazy, Laura, when you think about it that way.
So
might be
how do
paying
you
less.
pay? Yeah.
EVs are getting charged, you know? So think about
Did the
that.
town board realize this before they passed it?
What, the people could sit there and never plug in?
Right, and
you
not
can't-
pay, and not
Yeah, I mean,
pay.
Well, if you're gonna get the electric, you're gonna pay. And
But if I drive and I sit there and I park there all day long, I'm not paying
But
anything.
you should get fined.
Yeah, you should
yeah,
get
I'm
fined
not
or
sure
towed
exactly
away.
what happens.
That's a totally different scenario. That's the police, and that's totally
Yeah, I mean,
different.
we can ask whether if we're gonna fine people, give them tickets for that, there probably needs to be a sign that says, don't park here unless you're charging. So we could probably look into that. That would be like more stuff to do to close that loophole.
But the $2 an hour is a cost recovery on electricity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's wrong to charge people for like shit they're using, but Laura just explained it that it's to prevent people from parking there but not charging their car, which you can't do because they wouldn't be getting charged.
Well, or charging.
To the town board, and it was nothing. It had nothing to do with parking. It had to do with cost recovery of the electricity.
Yeah. Okay.
But the violators are not paying.
Well, the violators, yeah, we do want to keep people out of those spots, but the thought is if somebody goes and plugs in and say they walk away from their car and they don't come back and unplug for eight hours, they'll get charged for 8 hours. So you're right about that. If you just park there and you never plug in, you're right. That is a gap in stuff. But if you go plug in and you come back 8 hours later and you only need to plug in for 2 hours, you'll get charged for the whole 8 hours. So
Yeah.
So it helps somewhat. It's not a perfect solution, but
Mhm.
it's a better solution than having it the way it was.
Of course.
Could they put a sign up?
Uh,
David, they're going to, right? David?
I don't know. I suggested to Bill that they put a sign, that the town put a sign up to explain that we're charging them for parking as a means of recouping the cost of electricity, because there's a whole bunch of hoop jumping that you got to go through. You can't charge for electricity because you're not Central Hudson, and so I don't know all the hoops and bells and whistles, but what I know is that the only way to do it is to do it indirectly and to charge for parking. And and where this arose was that someone I know got a bill from ChargePoint saying electricity charge $0, parking charge $4. You were parked for 2 hours, and I thought that it was really a stupid way to word the bill, because you're not being charged for parking except as an indirect way of recouping the cost of the electricity. So I thought that rather than go through a whole wordy explanation on each bill, just put a sign up saying we have to charge you for parking as a way of recouping the cost of electricity. You'll get it.
What about saying it's a service fee?
It's a what fee?
A service fee, like a shipping and handling fee, service fee.
Like Amazon Prime fee?
Use fee.
We could have a sign saying if you had Amazon Prime, we wouldn't charge you anything. No, so Laura, it's just a question of whatever wording the town board wants to adopt. I'm just saying, I think it makes sense to make it clear that they're not being charged for parking, they're being charged for electricity, but we have to say that we're charging them for parking.
Mm-hmm. Now, I can bring it up with Bill and just see if there's a plan to make any changes in this area.
Okay, so just to wrap up the annual report and plan for 2021, I wanted us to begin to think of what we want to do, just the way Erin's going to have her end of year meeting and looking ahead meeting. What are the kinds of initiatives that we want to take on next year? One thing we're already committed to is the Climate Smart Resiliency Planning Tool. That'll be in the first quarter of the year. We also are committed to having a discussion with Bill about Kiss the Ground. And then Climate Smart Community, Erin, what are the next steps there? How are we going to continue to fulfill our obligations for the comp plan, which I think actually, thank you, Ken, for your great report. Through the CSC, we were actually able to make a lot of good progress with the comp plan this year. So it's great. And then Earth Day, and that is almost a segue, but not quite. Because I also want to say, does anyone want to take on different positions in the WEC next year? I mean, what are your aspirations, everybody?
You mean like chair? Is chair up for grabs?
I don't know, maybe.
I'll
I'll tell you, you have to show up a lot and you have to do a lot of work. But if you want to do it.
Any job that someone wants to quit after a year, I don't think it's a job you want.
Oh, no, I'm not volunteering.
You're not? Oh.
I've learned from my life working.
Thank you.
Soon.
Yeah, you also
So
have to
Alex,
reappoint the chair of the CSC task force.
Yes, I'm full.
I see. Okay, how about you, Alex?
What?
Ready to take on the chair position?
Kids, leave her alone.
What do I have to do? Do I get to yell at more people? Can I yell at Bill McKenna if I'm on the chair?
Yes, yes, you have to go to monthly meetings with all the. Wait, what? I was talking over you. What?
Crazy, that guy. If I get to yell at him, I'll do it.
Okay, Alex, I nominate you for chair because I think you would be a great liaison between the town board as well as all the department heads, which you have to meet with them once a month. Is that right, Laura?
Well, I think that Bill, I haven't been to those meetings for a while, but
I haven't held them because of COVID. And they were going to have one this month and they still haven't had it. So I'm not sure where that is. Yeah.
Oh. Laura, don't snitch on me.
Can we get back a little bit just
before
we talk about this? Were we going to talk about an emergency action plan?
Yeah, that's that resiliency plan. That's the Q1 plan. We're definitely doing that. Is that what you meant?
Also, when we've done the National Resources Inventory Project, maybe we want to take a look at that and see if that triggers anything that we want to do.
Well, it's not whether we've committed to it. Okay.
Right, but there might be a specific project that we might want. to do.
I know, Arlene, there are some climate smart activities that will stem from that. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah,
Or
but
did you have something in mind?
I'm thinking about it. That's all.
Okay.
Well, I've already put together the watershed part of the submission for the climate smart. And that came out of the NRI.
Right.
And when
And I
the,
think, go Ken.
and when the new climate smart challenges come out, which is supposedly at the end of the month or next month early, we should have the in that should also be the drinking water work that we're doing. So we should be able to get credit for that.
Okay, and I feel like I want to say there are some other ones that stemmed from the NRI, like some forestry activities. I cannot recall right now, but
I was even thinking about protection. Like there's the part that's in the watershed, and yes, the city helps with the protection of that. But there's a good part of Woodstock that's not in the watershed that we might want to think about areas that might need to be protected.
When we put together the
For
watershed,
animals, or whether it be
NRI, we include all the watersheds. I mean, the Saw Kill, the Beaver Kill.
No, I understand that, but I'm talking about for financial. The city is almost, it's almost like a freebie of getting your land protected and the city's paying for it. Okay, when you're in the watershed. When you're not in the watershed, it's not like that. I'm just saying that
Arlene, maybe I can reach out to you after this meeting and we can I pick your brain?
Yes.
Is that okay? Because I kind of hear what you're saying, and I definitely think we should take advantage of that.
I just wanted to take it to a different level. That's all I'm saying. Not just, yeah.
I think that's great.
Okay.
So before we wrap up,
Stephen, can you get really, I would love to see, I mean, after this meeting with that lady Jane tonight, like an actual actionable solar, or it doesn't have to be solar, but like, you know, energy plan that we can come up with for the town that gets people actually on board. I mean, that sounds like a lot of time to get 100 people to do something, but something that gets a meaningful amount of people in this town on renewable energy for next year.
do you want to work together on that? We'll talk offline.
David.
Was that? I'm sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, sure. I would love to.
Okay. By the way, you might feel more in the loop in the town, you know, of what's going on in town if you unlock the door to your store.
Yeah, but just imagine all of the people who don't have store doors to unlock, who just are blissfully ignorant in their little homes on Instagram doing nothing.
They're hanging out
no
at
idea
Maria's.
what happens in this town.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, I missed some things. Did we say anything about the SUMPUS application?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's done. We submitted our opinion letter and they thanked us and it's done.
Okay, great. And I'm heading up the annual report. And Erin, are you heading up the plans for 2021?
Well, I suggested sure, I'll totally volunteer. I know that makes Julia smile. Look at her smile.
Look at her smile.
Who do I need to work with on that? Do I have to just summarize what we talked about, or?
Yeah, and make it up.
I'll put something together. How about this? I'll put something together, and at the next meeting, I'll ask you. I'll send it to you in a document, and I'll ask everyone to.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right.
Great.
Bob, you've been so quiet tonight. You have anything you want to say to us?
No, I've had a long day. I'm just very tired.
Okay. All right.
I'm good.
And Julie, before you break, I did have a quick question, but I promise it'll be quick before everybody breaks.
Yeah.
Did you guys take a position on that Route 28, that excavation thing? And if so, who would I talk to about it? Are you familiar with that Route 28?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but we have not taken a position on that. You know, Maxanne is really the queen of that.
Okay, so I should see Maxanne. So that will not be a WEC. So if the WEC is declining to look at it, you're just waiting till somebody asks you to look at it, or
yeah, we just haven't yet looked at that. We haven't. We've had so many other things. We just haven't.
Are you guys talking about the old ATI gas station?
No, I think we're talking about the
Quarry.
Onion Lake area,
Oh, the Blue Mountain. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Right. So I didn't know
Well,
whether
that's
I
in
can.
Kingston, isn't it?
Well, but the thing is, it adjoins Woodstock property.
But it's technically in Kingston.
Well, it's technically not within the bounds of Woodstock, but it's like right next door to Woodstock, so it affects Woodstock because it's like adjoining property. So that's the question is, okay, but I mean, I guess maybe that can be a topic for a future meeting. I don't want to make this meeting run longer than it already has, but I would be curious whether the WEC wanted to weigh in at all, because yeah, I think there are people in Woodstock for sure that want to figure out how to fight it. And I didn't know whether the WEC involvement would help fight it, but I didn't want to have it be a topic tonight because it's already run long, but I wanted to bring it up to see if we had any next steps for it. That's all.
The Ulster County Environmental Management Council has taken a position on this a couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks.
So Erin, did you want to say anything more about Earth Day? What day?
So it's a Thursday. So I was thinking the weekend after that, you know,
Yeah,
to kind of
Saturday.
do that.
And
we had so many great things planned this year. I want to just get it back to that and maybe reach out more to the community.
I think Arlene's idea was amazing.
Which one was that?
He just said we should really make it about being like how the community can, like about this community, you know, and especially when there's so many new people, it's like a welcome, you know, it could be like the theme could be like Woodstock and the planet.
Yeah, Woodstock, you know, like post-COVID or something. Yeah.
Here and what people can do and getting everyone.
Be a part of us.
Be a part of it.
Yeah. Can we start that in January?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I like to start thinking about it now, but yeah. Julia, do you want to like, because I know an Earth Day conversation can take up a whole agenda and I don't want to do that. Do we want to maybe pick a day and agenda to do that or to have a separate meeting? What do you think?
Oh, we should also, Erin, I don't know that by next spring, we're going to be in a very different circumstance than we're in right now.
That'd be true. Yeah.
I don't think we will be.
I think when we're picking our we had already picked the venue super early last year, like before I was even around, I think. Maybe we might want to think of an outdoor venue or something where.
Well, that gets into what we have.
The rain that we had the last.
Yeah, it always rains and it's always cold.
But seriously, let's see what happens with these vaccines.
Yeah.
My son told me tonight that the biologist told me that they're very, very hopeful that it's going to go even faster than they think. Because the test went incredibly well.
I think we should kind of have a plan A and a plan B, like in, you know, virtual versus a live event, or it might even be hybrid, like schools, right? Like we'll figure. So I think that's what we need to talk about.
I guess would be the community center crammed in is probably not going to be a viable option.
Well, there's a lot of lawn space behind there.
Yeah, well, like outside, just having outside options, tented options, video options, we should be a little creative. So we don't have
a lot of space back there.
What about, okay, my dream, guys, a street fair in town. We shut down the street.
Yeah, just like that. Boom, it's shut.
Every shop owner would.
Hey, they shut it down for Halloween. Why wouldn't they shut it down for Earth Day? It's Woodstock. Go.
They shut down Halloween at 4:30 in the afternoon. They are not going to shut it down for Earth Day in the middle of the day when they're.
It's a state highway. It's a state highway. Plus, I can tell you, I've been to Earth Days that were beautiful and sunny, warm days. So don't be, don't panic, Julia. What's your motto? Don't panic.
No, David, if you could show up for these meetings, you'd have a lot more credibility.
Nice.
I don't want credibility. I want lobster now.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, listen, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. And thank you for all you guys do.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.
Okay. So we're adjourning and it's 8:36.